She held Nan Changfeng and stood at a distance. However, later, even Nan Changfeng's figure gradually disappeared, turning into light and dissipating in front of her. Feng Ruqing did not grab at him, because she knew that this world did not exist. All the things forged by the dragon scale were only to let her recover her memory. Once she got back her memories, these people would all disappear. Moreover, her real lover, Nan Xian, was waiting for her in another place called Land of No Return. She had kept her sanity, so it was not so hard to accept. However, the moment she saw Nan Changfeng lying in a pool of blood, she still felt hurt beyond words. Maybe such pain was engraved in her heart. She knew it was all not real, but it still would be so painful to face it. Buzz! Little Sword's sound echoed in her ears, which made Feng Ruqing slowly come back to her senses. When she opened her eyes, she found herself standing in the palace again. The white light just now had disappeared. Feng Ruqing opened her hand, and a dragon scale appeared in her palm. This dragon scale seemed to contain a powerful aura, and this aura seemed to be gushing out. I remember everything now. Feng Ruqing looked at the dragon scale in her hand. This dragon scale was drawn by the Ninth Emperor using her spiritual qi. Spiritual qi was invisible to the eye. The power needed to draw using spiritual qi was indeed extreme. Moreover, the dragon scale was so detailed. It required even more infinite spiritual qi to do it. I've already got it. Feng Ruqing raised her gaze to look ahead, and she slowly closed her eyes. The scene of Nan Changfeng's fall once again embraced her heart, causing burning pain. Back then, she had failed to protect Nan Changfeng. So in this life, she would not allow anyone to hurt her state preceptor. Feng Ruqing stepped away and swiftly headed to the palace. Me for extra chapters. She was very fast as a gust of wind at this moment. Feng Ruqing still did not know that the white light that came from inside the palace had enveloped the entire mountain. So much so that the entire Land of No Return was alarmed. Tianya froze, looking at the seal that had dissipated under the white light. His heart surged with joy. The seal has disappeared? Has it really disappeared? Can we enter now? Meanwhile, outside Spirit Beast Mountain, Nan Feng stopped in his tracks and turned back to look at the white light that poured into the sky not far away. This white light dispersed the dark clouds in the sky, making the whole sky clear. It seems to be coming from the palace, and this aura is too strong. There must be some divine object. His heart trembled. If he could get this divine object, maybe he would not have to be controlled by Mu Yi. Master, just as Nan Feng was silent, an elder from the Nan family sped from the sky not far away and instantly landed in front of Nan Feng. All the people our Nan family sent to Tsangyu mainland have had their fate cards damaged. The damaged fate cards meant that these people no longer existed. Nan Feng's expression changed slightly. A cold light flashed in his eyes, and his voice was cold when he spoke. It seems that I have underestimated this Tsangyu mainland. Send more people, and make sure to capture Feng Ruqing's father. But don't hand him over to Mu Yi, because I need him now. He had come this far because he relied on Mu Yi, but he was the Nan family head. How would he like to be subservient to others for the rest of his life? Therefore, if there were a chance, he would definitely break away from Mu Yi's control and dominate the world all by himself. Yes, master. The elder put his fist to the palm and retreated. Nan Feng did not continue to leave the mountain. A cold light flashed in his eyes as he turned around and headed deeper into Spirit Beast Mountain. No matter what, I can't let go of this opportunity. Not far away, Hui Yin and his daughter also stopped in their tracks. They looked behind them in astonishment. They looked down coldly. Father, Nan Luo bit her lip. She looked sideways at the sky covered by white light. Her gaze carried an unreadable light. Is something wrong in that palace? Hui Yin remained calm. Some kind of treasure must have appeared there. But Nan Feng has not gone too far. Perhaps he will rush back to Tianya after seeing it. We have no chance, so we should go back to Nine Gate first. Other things can be discussed later. Nan Luo's heart sank slightly, but Hui Yin was not willing to return. She did not say more and could only follow him back. Hui Yin seemed to think of something. He turned back to Nan Luo and asked, tell me the truth. Do you like that kid called Nan Xian? Nan Luo was shocked and lowered her head. What are you talking about, father? I'm not the kind of person who would steal someone's husband. I believe that my daughter would not be so unambitious as to want to be a concubine for someone else, but Hui Yin smiled and patted Nan Luo's shoulder. If you want to befriend him, father will not stop it. After all, that boy is indeed very excellent. I have to admit that Tianya is so lucky to have him. Moreover, his daughter, Nan Chiyu, is important to our 9-gate. If you befriend him, get him to lend Nan Chiyu to our 9-gate for some time. It will not be too difficult, right? Nan Luo was stunned and somewhat puzzled. Me for extra chapters. She hesitated for a moment. Why does father want to take Nan Chiyu? Huiyin looked at Nan Luo suspiciously and frowned. Don't you know about this? Nan Chiyu is the holy maiden of our 9-gate. She is the only remaining bloodline of Tianling clan. Therefore, she can only bring the greatest benefit to 9-gate by following us, and her strength can also improve quickly with us. Nan Luo panicked for a moment. She bit her lip hard. A lot of things happened recently, and I have somehow forgotten about it. But now that father has mentioned it again, I do remember that. But she was silent for a moment. Feng Ruqing will not hand over his daughter so easily. Women are just small-minded. Hui Yin snorted coldly. Tianya is even more small-minded. Even her husband's right to make friends is restricted. Such a woman. She won't achieve anything big in life, and I don't want you to befriend Feng Ruqing. Nan Xian alone is enough. Man is the head of the family. But Nan Xian has been controlled by Tianya. That boy is quite powerful, and he will rebel sooner or later. By then, no one in Tianya's manor could stop him. Nan Luo nodded and smiled faintly. She was quite relieved with Hui Yin by her side to back her up. At least, father didn't stop me from approaching Nan Xian. Come on, let's go back to 9-gate first, Hui Yin said as he shook his lapel to straighten it. Nan Luo followed Hui Yin obediently, and their figures gradually disappeared into Spirit Beast Mountain. In Tianya's manor, blood flowed like rivers, and dead bodies were piled up like mountains. Nan Feishue fell to the ground. She coughed out a mouthful of blood and looked at Xiao Hui coldly. Xiao Hui, you don't have to wait here. Feng Ruqing and the others won't come back. Ha ha ha. Her master had promised her that he would spare Tianya's life. However, the others would never come back. Xiao Hu's expression changed dramatically, and her eyes were filled with anger. Nonsense. He. Nan Feishue closed her eyes and smirked. We have lured Feng Ruqing and the others to Spirit Beast Mountain because that place will be their burial place. Xiao Hu's heart trembled violently, and she pulled Nan Feishue up from the ground with one hand. Say it again. She gritted her teeth and growled. Tang Yin's small face was filled with blood. She stared dumbly at Nan Feishue, who Xiao Hui held up. Her heart was cold. Did she just say that Spirit Beast Mountain would be their burial place? Tang Yin closed her eyes in sorrow. No, no way. These years, Shaoqing has encountered so many difficulties. In the end, she was living through all of them one by one. Moreover, Nan Xian is still with her, right? That vixen loves her so much. He will not let her get into any dangerous situations. Shaoqing will be fine. Tang Yin opened her eyes. She had no doubt in her heart. Nan Feishue coughed a mouthful of blood. She no longer had the strength to fight. This time, the Nan family had been defeated for extra chapters. They thought that Xiao Hui had left 9-gate, and 9-gate hated Tianya, so they would never interfere in this matter. The Nan family could not defeat so many skilled masters. Poof! The elder in gray robes stabbed Nan Feishue's chest with his sword. Nan Feishue spurted out a mouthful of blood, and when her vision was hazy, she recalled the first meeting with Tianya back then. He was so overbearing, and his every move touched her heart. In the end, she had made a wrong move in her life. If she could do it again, she would rather never have known him than suffer for a lifetime. All people of the Nan family had died, and Tianya's manor was once again quiet enough to make Xiao Hu's heart feel a little uneasy. Xiao, the elder in gray robes, turned around, faced Xiao Hui, and said calmly, "You take these people and go back with me." Xiao Hu's heart tightened. She took a few steps back and looked at them warily. "I won't let you take Xia away." She would never forget that these people had almost harmed the people in Tianya's manor. Therefore, how could she trust them once more? Xiao Hui, as I said, the order I gave back then was only for them to bring Nanqiyu back, not for them to harm the people of Tianya's manor. The elder laughed bitterly. "I want to raise Nanqiyu. How could I harm her family?" Xiao Hui smiled coldly. "You want to separate Xia from her family. So, aren't you offending Xia? Xia looked at the elder blankly and then turned to Xiao Hui. Xiao Hui had promised Feng Ruching before this, so she could not let anyone hurt Xia. "Xiao Hui, you have to think carefully. We are not going to hurt Xia. Moreover," he laughed helplessly, "the Nan family is trying to kill her, and now we can't figure out how many skilled masters the Nan family actually has. If you stay here, there is no guarantee that there will not be another group from the Nan family that will cause trouble. Nine Gate is the safest place to be in at this moment." Xiao Hui fell silent. She understood that what the elder said was true. If Nine Gate had not arrived in time, maybe all the people in Tianya's manor would have died in the enemy's hand. Without them, Xia would have been taken away by the Nan family. On the contrary, Nine Gate would try to raise her as holy maiden and would not harm her. Maiden Xiao Hui, Xiaoyu stepped forward slowly. She smiled at Xiao Hui and turned to look at the elder in gray robes. "Let's take Xia to Nine Gate together." Xia was in danger now, so they had to think for her safety. Furthermore, when Feng Ruching returned, they would know that Xia had gone to Nine Gate, and they would go there to take her back. If it did not leave now, perhaps the Nan family would come again. Moreover, this group was quite strong, and they had no way to resist. The elder let out a sigh of relief. Yes, he would try to snatch Xia. However, this girl seemed to be a little too mature. She was not like an ordinary child. He could not trick this kind of child, and he could not be too harsh. Otherwise, it would only provoke Xia and make her rebel. However, the elder did not know that when Nine Gate had sent someone to snatch Xia, she was no longer destined to like Nine Gate. "Let's go. It's already late. This little girl may also have suffered tremendous shock. We should go back to Nine Gate to rest." The elder smiled lovingly, trying to show his best side in front of the little girl. Xia pursed her lips. She turned to look at Nailin Jing. "Uncle, will mother and father come back?" Nailin Jing was slightly stunned and nodded. "Yes, they will come back." "Oh," Xia smiled brightly. "I know that mother won't leave me behind. She promised to come back soon." The little girl looked up to the distant sky and smiled brightly. But Xia did not know when they part. It would be several years before they met again. After Xia followed and left, she always felt as if she had overlooked something but could not remember it for a while. So she simply brushed that thought aside. The sun had set. In the small lake of Tianya's manor, a green snake opened its eyes. Me for extra chapters. It yawned and swam slowly to the shore. It had just woken up from a comfortable sleep. However, when it came ashore, it realized that something was wrong. Silence. The entire Tianya's manor was too quiet. It made the snake feel a little uneasy. Qingzhu scanned the whole courtyard. It saw many dead bodies, making it jump in shock. What is going on here? What happened to Tianya's manor? It was just asleep for a while. How come so many people have ended up dead? Oh, and where is Xia? Qingzhu panicked and hurriedly looked around for her. But Xia, Tang Yin, and the others had all disappeared. It searched all over the entire manor, but could not find a single familiar figure. At this moment, Qingzhu was scared and had broken down into tears. I'm doomed. Xia is gone. When Master and Princess come back, they will definitely kill me. Its tears of panic fell. It then hurriedly packed its stuff and held its bag on its back. I'd better run for my life first. If I'm lucky enough, I can also find out who has abducted Xia and then bring her back safely. This place was not suitable for a long-term stay, so it did not dare to wait any longer. It panicked and left. In Sangyu mainland, a calamity was coming to this land. At this moment, Sangyu mainland was still peaceful. Everyone was busy with their work, as if the scene many days ago had not happened. However, the sight of the blood at the city gate was still a dark blot of memory in the people's hearts, and just because they did not mention it did not mean it did not exist. Emperor, inside the imperial study room. The old general walked up to Feng Tianwu's body and put his fist to his palm. The Mu family is here. Master Gu and some people from Tianxia Manor are also here. We have invited the grand elder of the Tang family and others. Feng Tianwu's frown finally relaxed quite a bit. He smiled faintly as he stepped down from the dragon chair. Old general, since they are already here, I should go and welcome them properly. I don't know when those people will come to this Sangyu mainland again. No matter what, we must be prepared for everything and protect the safety of every one of the people of Luyuan Kingdom. Yes, the old man smiled faintly, and his gaze was firm. Feng Tianwu looked at the old man in front of him and felt that his hair was entirely white. Even his back was not as stiff as before. The corners of his eyes got a little moist. You've worked hard, father-in-law. He was sincere as he said these words. The time he was away was indeed too hard on him. Ahem. Nailing Zhangxian on the side cleared his throat. His face was serious. What's so hard for him? Drinking tea every day, bragging with his close friends. Other than that, there's nothing else to do. I've always been the one to deal with kingdom affairs. The old man was a little embarrassed and glared at Nailing Zhangxian fiercely. What kind of child would expose him like that? The corners of Feng Tianwu's mouth twitched. He then walked to Nailing Zhangxian and took his hand. Eldest brother-in-law, you have worked hard all these years. Nailing Zhangxian shook Feng Tianwu's hand, a little embarrassed. After all, Feng Tianwu was not going out for a trip to the mountains, but to look for Tianya. Although in the end, he was not able to get Tianya back. Emperor, you're too serious today. Now that the Mu family is here, shall we hold a banquet to welcome them? Me for extra chapters. All right, Feng Tianwu nodded. Let's hold it today. I don't know if there will be another chance later. He had a feeling that danger would come again. When that happened, they had to be prepared to deal with it. Inside the palace, the candlelight swayed. Nan Xian staggered a bit. He wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, held himself upright, and tried not to fall to the ground. However, soon, Feng Ruqing held Nan Xian's body and made him stand firm. Mui's gaze glowed red as he looked at Feng Ruqing coldly. Ninth Emperor, Feng Ruqing raised her hand, and the black sword flew into her hand with a swoosh. Little Soul stood behind her, like a cold-faced killing god, standing motionlessly. I remember it now. Feng Ruqing looked at Mu-Yi with a strong, murderous intent. It was you who tried to assassinate me, and it was Nan Changfeng who ran to break your trap to save me, which resulted in his death. Mu-Yi was somewhat shocked. He looked at Feng Ruqing and suddenly sneered. Even if you recall all that, so what? You are no longer the Ninth Emperor, anyway. What's more, you're not my opponent. Even if you join forces today, you're also bound to die. Ha ha ha. Mu-Yi laughed wildly and rushed toward Feng Ruqing. His cold aura carried a burst of murderous intent. Nan Xian raised his hand and pulled Feng Ruqing's arm, pulling her behind him. He faced Mu-Yi. Boom! Just at the moment when Mu-Yi was close to Nan Xian, Feng Ruqing leaped forward, and in an instant, a powerful force exploded in her surroundings, facing Mu-Yi head-on. Mu-Yi was a bit shocked as he saw the white light surrounding Feng Ruqing. That white light contained a powerful force that forced his feet back a few steps. This force was somewhat familiar in that it made his heart tremble, just like the woman who brought him fear 1,000 years ago. The Ninth Emperor. No, you have not recovered your power. You only have the same spiritual qi as the Ninth Emperor. Mu-Yi gritted his teeth, his face darkened. Unfortunately, he was only a soul. If he had an entity, his strength would be more enhanced. Perhaps, even if Feng Ruqing carried the Ninth Emperor's spiritual qi, as long as she was not the real Ninth Emperor, there was no need to fear. Mu Yi glanced at Nan Xian. This guy is Nan Changfeng. I can't possess him. Otherwise, he will fight back, and it will not be worth it. Suddenly, a voice came from not far away, which everyone heard. Qing. Feng Ruqing turned around and saw a figure in a red robe. Tianya rushed toward Feng Ruqing. He was fast, and he looked anxious. Mu Yi's eyes darkened. It seems like this guy is Feng Ruqing's grandfather. He had thought about catching this old man before. Unfortunately, the only place he could go besides Nan Fang's room was this palace because he could not be exposed to the light. Nan Fang was weak. He could not catch this old man and could only retreat and went at Sangyu mainland to find the ninth emperor's father. Unexpectedly now, this old man had sent himself to death's door. Mu Yi smirked. He rushed toward Tianya. Me for extra chapters. Run. Feng Ruqing's expression changed dramatically. Her breathing grew heavy. Unfortunately, it was already too late. Mu Yi was even faster, and he was about to collide with Tianya. Suddenly, a faster figure came from behind Tianya. Feng Ruqing could not stop in time as that figure stood in front of Tianya. She could only watch the powerful force hit his body. The whole world was silent. Feng Ruqing looked at Nan Fang, who had appeared out of nowhere, and looked at the dumbfounded Tianya blankly. To possess a body, one needed to consume a lot of energy, and it was not as easy as touching the body. Once the energy merged, it could never be retracted. When Mu Yi returned to his senses, he found that he had taken Nan Fang's body. He was furious, and his eyes flashed with rage. Nan Fang. This damn Nan Fang. If he had not appeared, I would not have made this mistake. Feng Ruqing was stunned. She paused for a moment and said, Nan Fang's body is also quite suitable for you. Mu Yi was speechless. He gritted his teeth tightly. If Nan Fang's soul were in front of him, he would have torn him into pieces. However, the mistake had been made, and he had no chance to reverse it. He could only use this body for the time being. No matter whose body it is, I'm finally able to live. Ninth Emperor, you did this to me back then, so today is the time for me to settle accounts with you. Boom! In an instant. The energy around Mu Yi's body exploded violently, surging within the entire palace. Initially, Nan Fang was only an intermediate emperor warrior. However, when Mu Yi's soul entered his body, he suddenly made a breakthrough to Advanced Emperor Warrior tier. Advanced Emperor Warrior tier. There were no divine warriors in this mainland. Advanced Emperor Warrior was already the strongest one. Nan Fang is so useless. These 2 years, to help him improve his strength, I have pushed him to reach Intermediate Divine Warrior tier. Unfortunately, this guy is so greedy, causing his life expectancy to fall sharply. He won't live long. Be it Nan Fang or the rest of the Nan family. Anyone who used this method to improve their strength would eventually shorten their life expectancy. That was why they were able to make a breakthrough so quickly in such a short time. Of course, Nan Fang must be unaware of this matter. Otherwise, no one would choose to sacrifice their lives to improve their strength. What was the use of becoming stronger but would die soon? Feng Ruqing looked at Nan Fang. No. It should be Mu Yi now. It was all Nan Fang's fault. After all, he was the one who sought help from Mu Yi, and in the end, he lost his life in Mu Yi's hands. However, after Mu Yi took over Nan Fang's body, he did not continue to make a move toward Feng Ruqing and the others. He closed his eyes and used his inner vision to see another shivering soul coiled inside his body. Nan Fang's soul trembled, and his gaze was filled with panic. He did not understand how he was possessed by Mu Yi when he was just passing by. Later, a powerful force came. Nan Fang raised his head in panic as he saw a huge mouth approaching him, devouring his soul, and he gradually disappeared from this body. Even the chance of reincarnation was gone. After devouring Nan Fang's soul, Mu Yi raised his head and looked at Feng Ruqing coldly. His aura was so powerful that it could shake the entire palace. Suyi and others rushed in and saw him. She looked a little shocked. Nan Fang. No, this person is not Nan Fang. Suyi's gaze sank as she stood next to Tianya. Her face was cold, staring at the middle-aged man in front of her. Ninth Emperor, Nan Changfeng, me for extra chapters. The palace shook harder as he took big steps toward Feng Ruching. The ground was shaking. It seemed that this impregnable palace could no longer withstand his power. Boom. Suddenly, the palace started to collapse from strong shaking. A wall tilted over, separating Tianya and the others from Feng Ruching in two places. Tianya was shocked as he watched the stone wall block the path. Strong energy surfed out of his fist, and with a bang, he punched the wall hard. However, the wall did not break at all, as if it did not suffer any damage. Suyi trembled. It was not easy to come into the palace. She wanted to face the danger with them. However, in the end, they had been blocked again. Buzz. The huge pot made a buzzing sound as it fell from the sky, smashing into this stone wall. However, that only made a dent in the stone wall, but it was not affected much in general. The moment the ground shook just now, Feng Ruching quietly moved the candlestick on the stone wall using her fingers, but no one noticed it. The moment the candlestick turned, the stone wall tilted over and blocked Tianya's path. She sighed with relief after seeing that Tianya and the others were safe. She and Nan Xian looked at each other, both with determination in their gazes. Mother, Fu Chun and Qing Han stood next to Feng Ruching obediently. They did not look scared. Their eyes were fixed upon the people in front of them. Nan Xian, Feng Ruching turned to look at the man next to her. It seemed that as long as he was there, she could feel at ease. I have remembered everything. Back then, I brought you home because I needed a handyman, but the handyman was too handsome and stunning. And in the end, she fell for him. She wanted to be with him forever. Back then, Feng Ruching's eyes sank. You always helped me and protected me. So, this time, I want to be the one to protect you instead. The dragon scale on her chest burned, but this burning sensation calmed her down. Qing and Xian's chest tightened. He pulled Feng Ruching into his arms, his handsome face filled with worry. He did not know what Feng Ruching wanted to do, and he felt a slight panic. Feng Ruching took the dragon scale and grasped it tightly. A powerful spiritual qi diffused from her fingertips instantly and turned into a white light that spread within the entire palace. When the white light dissipated, Feng Ruching had already walked toward Mu Yi. Nan Xian wanted to go forward, but a force suddenly came from in front of him, blocking his steps. Qing, his voice was filled with grief. He wanted to rush forward again, as he saw Feng Ruching had already walked toward Mu Yi. However, the force that was blocking him was like waves of the sea, sweeping him away. No matter how much strength he used, he could no longer walk toward her. Powerlessness, panic. Nan Xian trembled hard. His handsome turned pale, struggling to go to Feng Ruching. Feng Ruching did not glance at Nan Xian behind her. She lowered her gaze. This time, she only wanted to be selfish once. Me for extra chapters. She selfishly did not want Nan Xian to accompany her in danger. She selfishly only wanted him to live well. Ninth Emperor, Mu Yi smiled coldly. His body was like the wind, instantly rushing toward Feng Ruching. Feng Ruching raised her head. Her expression remained calm as she looked at the man in front of her coldly. Sanyu mainland, inside the imperial palace. Old Master Mu sat in the banquet and looked at Feng Tianwu smilingly. Did Qing'er really come back some time ago? Where is Suyi? Did she mention Suyi? Feng Tianwu smiled and nodded. Yes, Suyi is doing well over there. Then I'm relieved. Old Master Mu sighed with relief and laughed out loud before picking up the spirit wine in front of him. Feng Ruching left behind this wine, and now Feng Tianwu had been so extravagant as to use it as a treat. Qing'er also said that Suyi had found her father. Hearing this, Old Master Mu was a little surprised. He had always thought that Suyi was an orphan, but he never thought that her father was still alive. Thinking of this, his heart eased a lot. But when he thought about how he had not seen Suyi for a long time, he sighed again. And I don't know when they will come back. Soon, Feng Tianwu smiled gently. He looked at the people present and felt that someone was missing. Oh, Mu Ling! Feng Tianwu froze. After all, Mu Ling is still old Master Mu's son. He pondered for a moment and asked, Old Master Mu, do you know Mu Ling's whereabouts recently? Frankly speaking, Feng Tianwu hated Mu Ling. It was simply impossible he cared about his life and death. However, Mu Ling was still old Master Mu's son. So, he needed to respect old Master Mu's opinion. You also know the current situation of Sanyu mainland. Mu Ling might be in danger outside. Do we need to? Old Master Mu was slightly stunned and shook his head. No need. First of all, I do not know his whereabouts, and if we have to use other people to find him. But it's not safe outside now. I don't want to put other people in danger for Mu Ling. Hearing old Master Mu say that, Feng Tianwu said no more. He smiled, shook his head, and sighed helplessly. Just at this time, a guard rushed in from outside the door and ran quickly to Feng Tianwu. Emperor, those people are here again. The guard's face was pale and full of cold sweat, obviously scared beyond belief. After Feng Tianwu heard his words, he understood who those people he was talking about were. He stood up with a heavy heart. Qing'er is right. Those people will not die, and they will come after all. Fortunately, with the formation set up by Qing'er, those people can't get in for a while. Let's continue to drink. Don't mind them now. The city gates of Luyun Kingdom had been closed tightly since that day. After the residents heard about the enemy outside the gate, they were all so scared that they hid in their rooms and did not dare to come out. However, after waiting for half a day, they did not see those enemies rushing into the city gate, so they came out and no longer paid attention to those who smashed the wall outside. At the city gate, the middle-aged man looked at the people wandering inside the city gate coldly. His powerful palms landed on top of the wall, but bounced back from an invisible force. Me for extra chapters. With some disbelief, he leaped into mid-air, wanting to enter through the sky. However, just as his body reached the sky above, a force knocked him down. Elder Nanyu. The Nan family guards walked up to Nanyu and said respectfully, It seems that a formation has been set up here. We can't enter. I did not expect such a small Tsangyu mainland to have such strength. Nanyu's face darkened. If we can't enter, we will make the people inside come out. You go to investigate this. I don't believe that Feng Ruqing does not have other relatives outside. Whether it is relatives or friends, bring them all here. Yes, Elder Nanyu. To the people of the Nan family, killing was the norm, so they did not have any compassion. With the Nan family's strength, it was not difficult to figure out a person's background. However, when these people rushed to Tianshan Manor to catch the Mu family, they found that the manor was empty. Even the servants were not there. All the people in Tianshan Manor who had a relationship with Feng Ruqing had disappeared. Meanwhile, there was a small town not far from Tianshan Manor. A group of people surrounded a man, punching and kicking him. The man did not resist, allowing these people to beat him all over the body. Mu Ling, I didn't expect you to have this day. Huh, our Sky Flame sect had suffered much from your bullying back then. It's just that you were the young master of the Mu family, so we didn't dare to make a move against you. And now, I didn't expect you to end up like this. TSK, you have such an excellent daughter-in-law, Feng Ruqing, yet you ignored her and forced your son to be with a bunch of women, causing your son not even to want you. Mu Ling, I'd be so embarrassed if I had to live like you. These people sneered, and their faces filled with mockery. They did not see a group of people walking in the street, not far away. This group of people had a powerful aura and carried a force that made people scared of them. The men from Sky Flame sect all froze and subconsciously took a few steps back, their eyes looking at these people in front of them with some panic. What are you guys doing here? The head of the group looked at Mu Ling coldly. You're from the Mu family, right? Nan Xian is your son? Initially, they thought they would not find anyone here, but they did not expect to meet Nan Xian's father on the way back. Their master hated this man so much. This guy is so useless. Master has hated him for snatching Nan Suyi for such a long time. Mu Ling raised his head to look at these people in front of him. His face was expressionless and cold. Who are you? The man's voice was hoarse, very hard to hear, and no one knew what he had experienced outside. Nan Xian and Feng Ruqing provoked our master, so our master ordered us to capture Luyun Kingdom's people. But those people are hiding within the formation and do not dare to come out. Even the Mu family has also hidden in, so we can only use you to force them to come out. Mu Ling's eyes dimmed as he lowered his head. It's useless. I've been expelled from the family. It's useless for you to use me to threaten them. How do you know it's useless if you don't try? Besides, Nan Xian is your son, and Nan Suyi is your wife. Based on this alone, my master will not let you go even if he knows about it. The guard's voice was cold and stern. Mu Ling seemed to know something. He raised his head to look at these people in front of him and lowered his head again. He did not speak again, and no one knew what he was thinking. Someone, take him away. Me for extra chapters. Just as those guards were about to approach Mu Ling suddenly pushed them back, turned around, and ran away. The guard's eyes were cold, and in a flash, he blocked Mu Ling. He then grabbed Mu Ling's lapel. We will be in trouble if we don't bring someone back. So, you must come with us. Panic flashed in Mu Ling's eyes. However, these people were too strong, and he could not fight them back. Tianshan Manor was quite far from Luoyuan Kingdom, but these people moved so fast soon they arrived. Nanyu looked at the closed city gate coldly. Many skilled masters of the Nan family stood in the sky. They surrounded the entire Luoyuan Kingdom, and as long as they did not approach the city gate, they would not fall from the sky. Elder, the Nan family's head guard, stepped forward and dropped a middle-aged man in front of Nanyu. Nanyu looked at the man coldly and frowned. You have only captured such a man after almost a day. Elder, he is Nan Xian's father. Everyone else in the Mu family has fled. Only he is still around, so I have brought him back. The guard spoke respectfully. All right, Nanyu waved his hand. People of Luoyuan Kingdom, listen here. Go tell Feng Tianwu that we have arrested someone from the Mu family. If he wants him alive, come out immediately. The formation only blocked their steps. It would not block the sound. Therefore, Nan Yu's voice echoed above the streets of the entire Luoyuan Kingdom. After hearing the voice, the guards within Luoyuan Kingdom hurriedly went to the palace to report. At this moment, Feng Tianwu was drinking tea with the two old masters. He froze after he heard the guard's words, looking at old Master Mu blankly. People from the Mu family? Is there still anyone from the Mu family left behind? Old Master Mu shook his head. No, I've taken all of them with me. He said the people of the Mu family. Should it be Mu Ling? Thinking of this name, old Master Mu panicked. His face turned pale as he stood up, trembling. In fact, when he received Feng Tianwu's letter, he did try to find Mu Ling, but it seemed like Mu Ling was hiding from the Mu family. He searched for some time, but could not find him. For everyone's safety, he could not wait anymore and immediately brought the other Mu family members to Luoyuan Kingdom. Fortunately, he came in time. If it were a day later, everyone would really be in danger. However, his worst fears had happened after all. Old Master Mu stumbled a bit and rushed out of the palace. Mu Qingyin stood behind old Master Mu with a somewhat complicated expression and a helpless look in his gaze. The old general stood up and smiled bitterly. Mu Ling is his son. Even a tiger will not eat its son. Old Master Mu is not that kind of ruthless person, so it is impossible to watch his son die and do nothing. Feng Tianwu laughed helplessly. I've thought about these before. That's why I asked him if he was going to find Mu Ling. The most ruthless thing that old Master Mu could do was drive Mu Ling out from the family forever. That was a punishment for him. However, no father could bear watching his son die. Me for extra chapters. Therefore, what old Master Mu did today was understandable. It's too late now. The old general pursed his lips. If old Master Mu disregarded the danger of Luoyuan Kingdom for the sake of Mu Ling, then I would definitely rather let Mu Ling die at the hands of those people. Call me ruthless or cruel. All I care about is Luoyuan Kingdom. Moreover, Mu Ling had mistreated my granddaughter. There is no way I can forgive him. The old general stroked his sleeve and walked toward the door. If old Master Mu had brought Mu Ling before all these happened, they could still accept him here. After all, Mu Ling had received his punishment. He was old Master Mu's son. Of course, they would respect old Master Mu's decision. However, it was too late now. They would never give up the lives of so many people just to save Mu Ling. Let's go. Let's take a look too. Feng Tianwu felt a bit uneasy and followed the old general. The city gates were finally wide open. However, even though the city gates were open, those people still could not enter because of the formation. Old Master Mu could only look at Mu Ling from afar. His gaze was filled with grief. At this moment, Mu Ling was in a bit of a mess as his body was covered in blood and wounds. I ordered the Mu family's men to find you, but why did you avoid me? Old Master Mu closed his eyes in grief. If Mu Ling had not been hiding from the Mu family, Old Master Mu would have dragged him to Lu Yun Kingdom. After all these things had settled, he would kick Mu Ling out again and let him suffer out there. Mu Ling was touched. He did not expect that Old Master Mu would care about him up to this moment. He thought that this old man would not care about his life anymore. Mu Ling lowered his gaze and laughed helplessly. I'm embarrassed to see you again. He had abandoned such a good wife and wronged his son. He was blind, and he did not accept Feng Rooking's marriage into the Mu family. Would he not feel embarrassed to meet them again? Moreover, his father almost died because he trusted Qin Yan. Old Master Mu stood at a distance. His eyes were fixed upon Mu Ling as he said, Mu Ling, I have no way to save you. There is no way to save you. I can't break the formation. Even if I could, I can't do it. I can't sacrifice Lu Yun Kingdom for you alone. And I can't let Feng Tianwu and his wife be in danger because of you. Do you understand? He came over because he wanted to see him one more time. His son was important to him, but he could not be ungrateful and harm Feng Tianwu. After all, he was able to escape this calamity because of Feng Tianwu. Otherwise, if they had stayed in the Mu family, perhaps they would have been the ones to die. Mu Ling opened his mouth and said with a bitter smile, I understand. To be able to look at his father again before he died, and to see the reluctance in his eyes, he was already satisfied. He had no more regrets in this life. When Feng Tianwu and the old general arrived, they heard Old Master Mu's words. The two of them looked at each other with a bitter smile on their faces. They could already guess Old Master Mu's choice. He had always been a decent person. He could not do that for Mu Ling's sake alone and put the whole Lu Yun Kingdom in danger. Fortunately, he did not let them down. Nan Yu sneered and grabbed Mu Ling. He then chopped off one of his arms. Ouch! Me for extra chapters. The intense pain made Mu Ling tremble. This was a pain that he had not suffered even after being driven out of the Mu family. However, Mu Ling bit his lip hard and endured it, refusing to shout out. Seeing Mu Ling so miserable, Old Master Mu's heart trembled, and the pain was a little unbearable to him. I will give you one more chance. Break the formation, or I will kill this guy. Nan Yu's face was expressionless as he spoke coldly. He did not believe that these people could watch Mu Ling die. Old Master Mu looked sad as his gaze met Mu Ling's eyes. He saw the determination in Mu Ling's eyes. Mu. Old Master Mu just wanted to call out his name. Mu Ling then took advantage of Nan Yu's lack of attention and grabbed Nan Yu's sword. The long sword slashed through his neck, and blood spurted out, staining the world red. Old Master Mu trembled and turned his head away. He could not bear to see this cruel scene. The others also sighed helplessly. Maybe Mu Ling had regretted what he had done before. That was why he was not willing to drag anyone else down with him. Perhaps he did not want to suffer outside for many more years, so he was willing to die. Up until this very moment, he had wanted to use suicide to express the guiltiness in his heart. Nan Yu was stunned. He did not expect Mu Ling to be so determined, and even more so, he did not expect the people inside to really be indifferent. Therefore, he did not react for a while. It was only when Mu Ling's body fell to the ground with a thud that he returned to his senses, and a wave of anger filled his heart. Guard, bring those people to me. Feng Tianwu frowned slightly. The others were already within the city gate. Who else could this group of people find to threaten him? However, soon, Feng Tianwu's face changed dramatically. The guards brought out a group of children. These children were still young, with tender faces. They still did not understand this world, but had they now become sacrificial lambs and would be slaughtered? What are you doing to these children? Feng Tianwu burst out in anger, rage surging up his heart, and his gaze was filled with indignation. These children had nothing to do with them. However, the Nan family was so ruthless to this extent to force him into a corner. Nan Yu did not say anything. He raised his hand, and a little girl fell in a pool of blood before she could speak. Her eyes were wide open as if she did not understand why these people wanted to kill her. My men found these children along the way. Even though they have no relationship with you, I don't believe that you, as the emperor of a kingdom, can stand by and watch these children die. Feng Tianwu clenched his fists. His gaze was filled with anger. Those outside the gate were children. However, there were also more children in Luyuan Kingdom. So at this moment, he was caught in a dilemma. If he broke the formation, this group of people would rush into the city to burn, kill, and rob, and then there would be countless deaths and injuries. If he did not break the formation, those children outside the gate would die. Feng Tianwu trembled, and the old master was even angrier. He stared at the group of people in front of him with eyes filled with murderous intent. Just as Feng Tianwu pondered, another young boy fell into a pool of blood. Feng Tianwu's eyes were bloodshot, and his heart trembled even more. Me for extra chapters. In the end, he opened his mouth. He'll go out. Let them go, and don't hurt the people of Luyuan Kingdom. If these people really came for him, he had to face them alone in exchange for so many people's safety. However, he would also not let anyone have the opportunity to threaten Qing'er with him. Emperor, the old general's heart tightened, and he said in a sober voice, "You can't go." Feng Tianwu smiled faintly and said, "If I don't go, these people still think of using me to threaten Qi. Old general, if I'm no longer here, Luyuan Kingdom still has Zhangqian to handle for the time being." As the old general looked up, he saw the determined expression etched upon the man's face. He knew that this time, Feng Tianwu was preparing for death. The old general's lips trembled as he turned to look at the man outside the city gate. "I'm Qing'er's grandfather. I'm also her family. Why do you have to look for him?" Nan Yu sneered and looked at the old general. "Our master only said he was looking for Feng Tianwu. He didn't say he was looking for anyone else. So we only want him. Feng Tianwu, I can promise you, as long as you come out, I will not hurt anyone." "Good." Feng Tianwu raised his head and looked into the sky. He then closed his eyes slowly. "Qing'er, this time, Father can no longer wait for you to come back. Father is greedy. I want you, and also want to fulfill my duty of guarding the people of this world." With this formation, one could only go out, not in. Feng Tianwu waved his sleeves and walked toward the city gate. He had a death-defying choice, and his back was so firm. "Tianwu." The moment Feng Tianwu stepped out of the city gate, a panicked voice came from inside the gate. When he turned his head for a moment, a figure in a yellow dress passed through the city gate and instantly landed next to him. Her gaze was firm, and she looked at Feng Tianwu without blinking. "Why didn't you wait for me?" Feng Tianwu's heart ached. "Yinner, the one they want is only me. Why do you need to, so what? I have decided to stay by your side for the rest of my life when I married you. No matter how many hardships and dangers lay ahead, be it hell or heaven, she would walk with him through it all." Old Master Mu was slightly stunned and froze as he looked at Feng Tianwu and Nailin Yin, who walked out of the city gate. So this formation, people can only leave? He looked at Mu Ling, who was lying in a pool of blood with bitterness on his lips. If he had known that he could get out, perhaps he would have been unable to control his emotions and rushed out at that very moment. By then, Qingyin would also follow him out. Fortunately, he did not know about this earlier. "Emperor Yinner." The old general was terrified and wanted to rush out of the city gate. However, old Master Mu did not give the old general this opportunity. He blocked him. "Get out of the way." The old general was furious and shouted angrily. Old Master Mu did not move out of the way. "Do you want Qing'er to lose all her family members?" This question made the old general freeze. His body trembled hard, and he clenched his fists tightly. He entrusted Lu Yun Kingdom to you. Do you want Lu Yun Kingdom to lose him in you in the future? Me for extra chapters. Hearing old Master Mu's words, the old general closed his eyes, tears flowing from the corner of his eyes. Fortunately, the old general did not make any move, and old Master Mu slowly sighed in relief. Whatever happens, I can't let this old general send himself to death again. Nailin Yin looked at old Master Mu gratefully. She then withdrew her gaze and looked at the people in front of her. Release these children. Nan Yu was a bit different from those Nan family members before. He kept his promise and ordered his men to release their hands and push these little ones aside. Yin Feng Tianwu turned to look at Nailin Yin. Nailin Yin knew what Feng Tianwu was thinking inside, so she nodded to him. Only then did Feng Tianwu turn to these people in front of him and said solemnly, "Good." After he was done talking, Feng Tianwu walked toward the group of people. Nan Yu looked at Feng Tianwu, turned around, and left. Feng Tianwu walked carefully, following behind them. When these people had gone some distance away, Nailin Yin quickly pulled those children into her arms. The light on the formation flashed, and Nailin Yin threw all the children into the city gate. Later, she turned and rushed toward Feng Tianwu. When Feng Tianwu saw that the children were safe, spiritual qi surged out of his palm, and he attacked Nan Yu's back with a bang. Nan Yu could sense the spiritual qi behind him. He suddenly turned around and punched Feng Tianwu in his chest, sending him flying several meters away. Blood flowed out of his mouth. These people had even stronger power than the ones before, so powerful that it was no longer something they could resist. Tianwu. Nailin Yin ran up to Feng Tianwu in a panic and helped him up from the ground, looking at Nan Yu warily. They understood that death was waiting for them once they stepped out of the formation. Many people of the Nan family blocked them from the back, leaving them no way to escape. It was impossible to even think about running back into the formation again. You're seeking death. Nan Yu did not expect Feng Tianwu to attack him. His eyes were cold as he headed toward Feng Tianwu and kicked him. Feng Tianwu was unable to dodge and could only watch this kick land on him. At this moment, Nailin Yin swiftly stood in front of Feng Tianwu, extending his arms to protect him from the back. Poof! When that foot landed on Nailin Yin's chest, she spat blood, and she was pushed a few steps back. Her face turned pale. Damn! Seeing that Nailin Yin was hurt, the old general could no longer control himself. He ignored Old Master Mu's warning and instantly headed toward the city gate. Old Master Mu could not stop him no matter how. He pondered for a moment before turning to Mu Qingyin. Qingyin, this old general does not want to live anymore. You stay in Lu Yun Kingdom and help the Nailin family well. Mu Qingyin was slightly stunned. Father, you old Master Mu laughed bitterly. If I keep hiding inside, I am afraid that when Suyi, Qing'er, and the others come back, I will feel embarrassed to face them. One more thing. Gusher suddenly appeared from nowhere, smiled, and looked at Mu Qingyin. I've drugged Yi, and she is now asleep. She will not come out to make trouble. Young man, from now on, I give my daughter to you. You have to treat her well. Do not let her cry, and do not break her heart. Otherwise, I will crawl from hell and kill you. Me for extra chapters. Master Gu. Mu Qingyi's expression changed slightly, and his handsome face was filled with worry. Both of you are still, Bang. Gusher knocked Mu Qingyin unconscious with his fist. Mu Qingyin fell to the ground, his eyes tightly closed. This kid will not listen to us. Gusher smiled helplessly. Better let him sleep first. When he wakes up, it will be over. Old Master Mu, let's go. Feng Ruqing has favored me, so there is no way to ignore it. Old Master Mu nodded as he turned to look at those people of Lu Yun Kingdom. His heart sank. Gentlemen, I know that once there was a battle in Lu Yun Kingdom, and it was you and Old Master Nailin who fought side by side to defend Lu Yun Kingdom. But this time, the enemy is different from usual. All those who go out will die. If you love this land, you have to protect Lu Yun Kingdom when they are no longer there, not to die for nothing. Old Master Mu's words made those foolish people who wanted to rush out of the gate quiet down. It was those generals of the Nalan family who all grabbed the swords in their hands and looked at those outside the city gate with a sad gaze. They understood that by going into this battle, they were literally sending themselves to death. If many strong men of Luyun Kingdom were injured and died, they would not be able to protect this land anymore. Therefore, to protect the kingdom and the people's safety, they all stopped moving and stayed inside the city gate. Seeing this, old Master Mu only quietly sighed in relief as he took a big step toward the city gate. The moment he stepped out of the city gate, his eyes widened and were fixed upon Mu Ling. He died with his eyes wide open, staring at the city gate. Old Master Mu squatted down, gently raised his hand, and closed Mu Ling's eyes. Mu Ling, when this matter is over, Qing Yin will bring you back to the Mu family so that you can rest peacefully. His voice was filled with grief. Gusher looked at old Master Mu and felt the sadness inside him. He lowered his gaze and said, Mu Ling must regret his decision. Regret that he had been avoiding the Mu family. If he did not hide from them, perhaps he would not have died here. So what if he regretted it? What's wrong is wrong. Even if I gave him a chance, Su Yi and Nan Xian would not forgive him. But I never thought that he would leave the world this soon. Old Master Mu caressed his eyelids and let the tears flow down. However, he did not stay here for long. After that, he walked forward with heavy steps. Yenner. Feng Tianwu braced himself to stand up and quickly walked to Nalan Yan's side. His voice was choked, and his gaze filled with panic. Are you all right? I'm fine. Nalan Yan coughed a mouthful of blood. When she turned around, she saw the old general coming quickly toward her. Old Master Mu and Gu Shi follow behind, all having left the city gate. She trembled. You, Yenner. The old General Nalan walked quickly to Nalan Yan, his eyes sunken. I am a general of Luyun Kingdom, but likewise, I am also a father. My daughter is my everything. I won't allow you to leave me again. Nalan Yan's lips trembled, but she did not speak. She stood up and faced Nanyu head-on. Today, we will die here, and we will not let you have any chance to threaten Qing. A cold light flashed in Nanyu's eyes as he raised his hand and then slowly dropped it. Kill all the others except Feng Tianwu. Initially, he had left a way for these people to live on, not killing them. Me for extra chapters. However, these people asked for their death, so they could not blame them. The Nan family guards were all-powerful, and their heavy aura spread immediately, filling up the entire sky. The sky became gloomy, as if there was a storm coming. This pressure was so intense that the people present could hardly breathe. They knew they would die today, but never thought that they would be defeated this easy. Nalan Yan closed her eyes and smiled. She had no regret. It was better to live and die with him, together. Boom! The moment the long sword came down upon her, a powerful force came suddenly. This force turned into countless arrows in the air and instantly pierced the chests of those guards of the Nan family. Nanyu slightly froze. The moment she looked up, she saw a figure in a purple robe standing in the air. The man wore a half-mask and looked like a demon. Nalan Yan suddenly found that the aggressive Nan family had fallen to the ground, all unconscious. She looked up shocked. She saw the man in a purple robe. She was slightly stunned as she called out, Jioming. The man did not move as he took off the mask. He was so stunning. Chapter 1976. The battle XXVII. His gaze was cold, and he was handsome enough to make one hyperventilate. There was a purple lightning mark between his eyebrows that looked quite bizarre. Nalan Yan froze a little. She felt that this man was Jioming, but not really like Jioming. Boom! The man in the air raised his hand. A lightning bolt from the sky struck Nanyu. Nanyu dodged to the side, but the ground in front of him had been scorched black, leaving a long mark. Who are you? Nanyu looked up at Jioming and asked in a deep voice. The man smirked. He raised his hand, and another lightning bolt struck. This lightning bolt hit Nanyu's head, and with a boom, it burnt his hair, making him look like he had just crawled out of the beggar's hole. Even his clothes were in rags. The man who came to save your life. The man's voice echoed in the sky for a long time. Feng Tianwu raised his head, stared at the man, and asked in a deep voice, "Is he Jiuming?" Since the day Qing'er left, Jiuming, too, disappeared from this mainland. No one knew where he had gone. So, this was the first reunion in many years. It should be him. They could feel Jiuming's aura. However, Nailin Yin felt that the man in front of her had changed a lot. He was no longer the same Jiuming she once knew. The old Jiuming still looked like a person, but now, he looked like God coming out of hell, with an evil, cold aura. Inside the palace, blood hung at the corner of Feng Ruqing's mouth, her body scarred and bruised. However, she never took a step back as she swooped down again. Mu Yi smiled as he saw Feng Ruqing in such a mess. A cold light flashed in his eyes. One could see from his eyes that he was quite happy seeing her appearance now. Nan Xian wanted to approach her repeatedly, but the dragon scale's power blocked his approach. Me for extra chapters. Feng Ruqing held onto the dragon scale tightly. It overflowed with powerful spiritual qi. All of the spiritual qi poured into Feng Ruqing's body. Her entire body seemed to be surrounded by a storm of aura as she raised her head to look at Mu Yi coldly. Father, Fu Qin's heart tightened. The dragon scale in Mother's hand is all the power of the ninth emperor back then. She sealed the power before leaving, but Mother's body is not strong enough to withstand it. If she continues like this, she will explode and die. They had experienced it once when they were in Sangyu mainland back then. Back then, it was Nan Xian who had appeared and saved Feng Ruqing. Nan Xian looked at the dragon scale in Feng Ruqing's hand and showed a touch of anxiety in his gaze. Feng Ruqing began to bleed. However, she kept breaking through. In just a few moments, she had made a breakthrough to Emperor Warrior tier. But she continued to break through. Mu Yi panicked a little and flew toward Feng Ruqing, trying to stop her breakthrough. The fist landed heavily upon Feng Ruqing's chest, and Feng Ruqing fell backward, blood spurting out from her mouth. However, the spiritual qi within the dragon scale was still steadily being channeled into Feng Ruqing's body. The dragon scale in her hands was getting smaller, so small that it nearly disappeared. Lower Emperor Warrior tier. Intermediate Emperor Warrior tier. That's enough. Nan Xian used all his strength to rush toward Feng Ruqing. The dragon scale was still stopping him from moving forward, and every time he moved on, he was pushed out by that force. But, looking at Feng Ruqing's increasingly pale face, Nan Xian clenched his fists tightly. He gathered all his strength into his sword and moved forward against the pressure of the dragon scale this time. He planted the sword his hand firmly on the ground, and every time the power of the dragon scale came at it, he used it to keep himself on his feet and was no longer pushed back even a bit. Feng Ruqing spurted a mouthful of blood again, but her face was filled with determination as if she had already chosen to die. She knew that the only way to get rid of the people in front of her was to do so. This was the only way to save the people she loved. Suddenly, a warm hand held her from the side and pulled her tightly into an embrace. This warm feeling made Feng Ruqing's body shake, and when she turned to the side, she saw the man's gentle and handsome face. Nan Xian, Qing'er, I don't need you to protect me. The man smiled gently. Perhaps Nan Xian relaxed a lot when he was finally able to come to her side. Only when he touched her was he able to feel at ease. No matter what, I will face it with you. No matter how many hardships and dangers lie ahead, we will go through together. Boom! The moment Feng Ruqing stopped, the power of the dragon scale began to rage. The ground in the entire palace shook again. Nan Xian pulled Feng Ruqing into his arms. Mu Yi was a little surprised. He did not understand what happened there. Suddenly, the ground cracked open, and the entire palace instantly tipped over. Feng Ruqing's heart tightened. She held Nan Xian's hand tightly, as she felt like she had fallen into a bottomless world. Mother! A panicked voice echoed for a long time. Feng Ruqing stabilized herself, opened her eyes again, and found that this was a dark place with only a faint light flashing in front of her eyes. Me for extra chapters. Following the sound, Feng Ruching saw the two little ones not far away. Qing Han's eyes were filled with panic as she quickly ran to Feng Ruching's side. Their feet were not on the ground, just floating again in mid-air. "Mother, this place is a bit familiar." "Familiar?" Feng Ruching frowned. Qing Han has never left the Divine Herbs sect, so why would she feel familiar with this place? "It seems Fu Chun and I were reborn in this place." Qing Han frowned. "But there are too many things I do not remember. I only know that the 9th Emperor picked us up and took care of us. I have forgotten the other memories, but I vaguely feel that Fu Chun and I came from this place. There were very few spirit herbs that could transform into humans in this world. Qing Han and Fu Chun were indeed unusual creatures. If they came from this place, it meant that, just as Feng Ruching was hesitating, a familiar voice came from the medium. "Master, this voice." "Qiu?" Feng Ruching froze. She raised her hand. A young girl appeared in front of her. The young girl still had the same clueless look, with an innocent smile on her face. But she had been away from Feng Ruching for too long. Feng Ruching smiled happily. Qiu gave up all its power to save her and transform into its original shape. After that, she plucked it and planted it in the medium. Initially, she wanted to wait until it had devoured enough spiritual qi and transform into a human again. She did not expect that after coming to this place, Qiu could transform into human form. Qing Han and Fu Chun are spirit herbs. Qiu is also a spirit herb. But back then, Qiu had given me all its power to let me leave that forbidden land. How did she suddenly regain her human form? Is this place giving the spirit herbs the ability to take human form? Feng Ruching frowned. "I'm not sure." Nancian raised his hand and took Feng Ruching's hand. "Do you remember anything?" "Well, I didn't pick them up in this place. They were already on the mainland when I found them, so I'm not really sure. This palace was on top of Feng Mountain, and later it was moved to Spirit Beast Mountain by Mu-E. It might be a coincidence that it happened to be in this place. Or perhaps the dragon scale's aura was too powerful and had unintentionally allowed them to go deep into this place. There are all kinds of strange things in the mainland. It is not surprising that there are such places." As Feng Ruching turned around, she happened to see that Mu-E had also come back to his senses. A cold light flashed in Mu-E's gaze. He smiled coldly. "No matter where you are now, you can never escape the death." Suddenly, countless vines appeared and headed toward Mu-E. Qing Han's small face was cold as she grunted. "This is my home. I will never let you hurt my mother in my home." Fu Chun did not say anything. However, his figure gradually grew and finally, he turned into a teenager. Unlike Qing Han's childish little appearance, his appearance would change as his strength increased. However, he did not keep such a look to keep Qing Han from feeling ashamed. A cold light crossed in Mu-E's eyes, and he shook these vines away with a fierce force. However, Qing Han did not stop moving. She swiftly made countless vines appear again, all headed toward Mu. Meanwhile, in this darkness, countless more eyes were watching them. Me for extra chapters. Their eyes were fixed upon the dragon scale in Feng Ruching's hands. Spirit herbs. Mu-E also noticed those eyes and froze for a moment. These are all spirit herbs. The spirit herbs that could transform into humans. It was easy for spirit beasts to change their forms and transform when they reached a certain level of strength. However, it was rare to find the spirit herbs that could change their forms. These two little ones in Feng Ruching's hands were an exception. Mu-E did not expect that there were so many more spirit herbs at this moment. If he could eat these spirit herbs, he would be able to make a breakthrough to Divine Warrior tier. And the 9th Emperor 1,000 years ago was only a half-divine warrior. I never thought that God would treat me well and allow me to come to this place. He laughed wildly and no longer cared about Feng Ruching, Nancian, and the others, as he rushed in the direction of those spirit herbs. The figures with those eyes stepped out of the darkness. They were a group of children who were still naive and ignorant. Seeing Mu-E rushing toward them, They could not help but panic and run in all directions to hide. These spirit herbs had never left this place and did not understand the danger the humans posed. This was the first time these spirit herbs saw such a fierce person. They were all shocked. Just as he was about to rush toward the children, Feng Ruching immediately blocked his way. Qing Han, Fu Chun, take these little spirit herbs and leave this place. All right. Qing Han and Fu Chun nodded and hurriedly ran over, leading the group of spirit herbs to leave. Get lost. Mu Yi threw his fist at Feng Ruching. In a flash, Nancian was already in front of Feng Ruching. His long sword set off a gust of wind as it struck at Mu Yi. Mu Yi dodged the attack and charged toward Feng Ruching again. He became fiercer than before. Not far away, the little girl stopped in her tracks, and she pointed to the dragon scale in Feng Ruching's hand, confused. Qing Han turned and looked at the little girl. You've seen that thing before? The little girl bit her lip and nodded. No, this was drawn by the Ninth Emperor at that time. Why have you seen it before? Mother's memory doesn't have you guys in it. Mother didn't even know about this place. The little girl did not speak, and she quietly looked at the dragon scale in Feng Ruching's hands. Suddenly, she lunged toward the dragon scale. Come back. Qing Han was shocked. Countless vines surged from the air and swept toward the little girl. However, this little girl was so fast that Qing Han did not have time to stop her. The little girl rushed toward Feng Ruching. She grabbed the dragon scale in Feng Ruching's hand and raised her gaze to look at Feng Ruching. Feng Ruching's face sank as she shouted, "Let go." The little girl looked stubborn. She pointed at the dragon scale in Feng Ruching's hand and pointed to herself. Feng Ruching's face was slightly sunken. You want it? No, I can't give it to you. The little girl was anxious, but she did not know how to speak and could only look at Feng Ruching with watery eyes. Seeing that Nancian was no match for Mu Yi, Feng Ruching pushed the little girl away and went toward Mu Yi. Me for extra chapters. The other children were also reluctant to leave, and all eyes were on the dragon scale in Feng Ruching's hand. Brother Fu Chun, these spirit herbs are so strange. Qing Han cocked her head. Why do they keep wanting Mother's dragon scale? Qing Han. Fu Chun was silent for a moment. I heard Big Black mention this dragon scale. Mother's spiritual chi made it, but it contains a real dragon scale left by the real dragon back then. Do you still remember the Ninth Emperor's background? Hearing Fu Chun say that, Qing Han fell silent. The Ninth Emperor had once spoken to them about her background. The reason why the spirit beasts welcomed the Ninth Emperor was that her mother was a spirit beast. She was a dragon that had disappeared from the world. There were many phoenixes on the mainland, but no one had ever seen a real dragon. Big Black was not considered a dragon. Big Black was a creature formed from the surrounding spiritual chi, and it chose to transform into a dragon. Now, the dragon was only a legend, so what they want may not be the current dragon scale, but the piece of real dragon scale wrapped within the spiritual chi. Qing Han fell silent. She had almost forgotten about this. Fortunately, Fu Chun reminded her. In this life, Mother's parents are human, but 1,000 years ago, the Ninth Emperor's mother was a spirit beast. She was a dragon. The little girl kept staring at the dragon scale in Feng Ruching's hand. Her eyes were as clear as spring water. Feng Ruching looked at Mu Yi. A determined light flashed in her gaze as she held the dragon scale tightly. Spiritual chi once again overflowed from her dragon scale, slowly following her breath into her body. Advanced Emperor Warrior. She stopped using the dragon scale after reaching Advanced Emperor Warrior tier. The strength that she had now was enough to face Mu Yi. Bang! Feng Ruching raised her hand, and the black sword appeared out of thin air. As her strength increased, the power of the black sword and little soul also enhanced a lot. Mu Yi's face changed dramatically. The Ninth Emperor's spiritual chi made the dragon scale in Feng Ruching's hand, so it's useless to snatch it. In comparison, it is better to get these spirit herbs first. Ninth Emperor, he'll let you off this time. He'll come back to you later. Mu Yi leaned toward the little girl and stretched out his magic claws. Qing Han was so shocked that she hurriedly used her vines to tie up Mu Yi's legs. Although her vines did not restrain Mu-yi, it made him pause for a moment. The black sword flashed, and a sword light headed toward Mu-yi, forcing him back a few steps. Mu-yi smirked. His eyes were cold. However, he did not say anything. He moved as fast as the wind, and in an instant, he was already in front of Feng Ruqing. He swung his fist as a harsh wind followed. At this time, the little girl who had just arrived in front of Feng Ruqing snatched the dragon scale out of her hand while Feng Ruqing was defending herself against Mu-yi. "What are you doing?" Qing Han was angry. She and her mother saved this little girl just now, and she ended up snatching away her mother's dragon scale. The little girl did not say anything and put the dragon scale in her palm. Me for extra chapters. In that instant, the spiritual chi within the dragon scale turned into a powerful light that spread throughout the darkness. All the darkness turned into the light. At that moment, Feng Ruqing finally realized that they were standing in a herb garden with a lot of spirit herbs. Some of them gradually transformed into humans. "I'm so lucky. Ha ha ha." Seeing so many spirit herbs, Mu-yi could not help but cry with joy. He casually pulled off a handful of spirit herbs from the ground and shoved it into his mouth. The spirit herbs burst out in anger. Their eyes were filled with rage as they watched Mu-yi's actions. The little girl who snatched the dragon scale did not move, and within her palm lay a white scale. This scale was not quite the same as before. The scale just now was made by spiritual chi, and now, after the spiritual chi dissipated, it had turned back to its original form. She seemed somewhat fond of it, as if she was familiar with the owner of this scale. However, the little girl gave back the scale to Feng Ruqing, looking at her expectantly. Feng Ruqing was slightly stunned as she took the scale handed to her by the little girl. 1,000 years ago, she only left this piece of scale before she left. Nancian raised his head to look at Feng Ruqing. He knew Feng Ruqing was talking about the 9th Emperor's mother. "So 1,000 years ago, I cherished this dragon scale." Feng Ruqing clutched the scale in her hand, a smile playing on her lips. Even now, Nancian raised his hand to pull Feng Ruqing's shoulder and turned to look at Mu-yi. Poof! Mu-yi suddenly spurted out a mouthful of blood. He had not even swallowed the spirit herbs in his mouth, and blood was coming out of his nose. How could this happen? Cough! He coughed out a mouthful of blood, and his face was covered in blood. All spirit herbs can be eaten, except one, which cannot be taken. Feng Ruqing walked toward Mu-yi slowly. The spirit herbs that can take human form are poison. Mu-yi froze. He looked at Feng Ruqing and growled, "Impossible. These are all spirit herbs that can help me make a breakthrough to Divine Warrior tier." Divine Warrior tier. Ha ha ha. When I reach Divine Warrior tier, you'll have to beg for me to spare you. Feng Ruqing walked up to Mu-yi and looked down at the man in front of her. It's fine if you don't believe it. The spirit herbs that can transform into a person cannot be taken. God is fair. He gave these spirit herbs a chance to be humans, so he won't let anyone harm them. Poof! Mu-yi once again spurted out a mouthful of blood. He staggered, and he could not even stand up steadily. Blood began to pour out of all his 7 orifices, causing him to be filled with horror. Divine Warrior tier. He was only one step away from being a Divine Warrior. Mu-yi stretched out his hand, but in the end his hand fell weakly, and his body fell backward, falling to the ground with a thud. It's over. Feng Ruqing was stunned. Nan Feng was dead. Mu-yi was also dead. It was all over. Well, Nancian pulled Feng Ruqing into his arms. This battle is over, and you're safe. His heart ached as he thought of Feng Ruqing hurting her body just for a breakthrough. Feng Ruqing laughed out loud. It's good that it's over. Feng Ruqing turned to Qing Han. Little Qing Han, can you communicate with these spirit herbs? Me for extra chapters. Yes, I can. Oh, then ask them how we can leave this place. All right. Little Qing Han turned back to look at the group of little ones behind her. Perhaps Feng Ruqing had a familiar aura that the group of children was very gentle to Feng Ruqing. Whatever little Qing Han asked, they would answer. But Feng Ruqing could not understand what they were talking about. After a few moments, Qing Han turned to look at Feng Ruqing. Mother, they said, you can go out when you reach Divine Warrior tier. Feng Ruqing's face changed dramatically. If she could make a breakthrough to Divine Warrior tier, she would have saved Nan Changfeng back then. Initially, the Ninth Emperor only partially reached Divine Warrior tier. She was only one step away from reaching Divine Warrior tier. Now, she needed to reach that rank to be able to leave. Fu Chun and I can hide in the medium, but Father cannot enter. So, Father also needs to reach Divine Warrior tier. Nan Xian was stunned. He was silent for half a second. It is not impossible to reach that rank. There are many spirit herbs here, so it means that the spiritual qi here is much stronger than in Land of No Return or even 1,000 years ago. It is not impossible to make a breakthrough in this place. If this was the only way to leave, then he could only do so. The little one said that only a divine warrior could break the sky. As long as you can reach Divine Warrior tier, you can come and go freely, such as Mother can return at Sanya mainland. There is no need to find any road, as you can go back directly. Feng Ruqing sighed helplessly. I just miss Xia Xia. She left in a hurry back then and did not have more time to accompany Xia Xia. She did not know when she would see her again. However, Feng Ruqing thought there was a vicious battle after coming here, but she did not expect Mu Yi to die so easily. It made her wonder, in Spirit Beast Mountain, the palace that stood there before had collapsed. Tianya and the others panicked as they lifted all the stone bricks, but still did not see Feng Ruqing and Nan Xian. Initially, they thought that these two were injured and could not come out themselves, so Tianya brought everyone from Wushang City to help, but to no avail. Even those spirit beasts could not find where they were. Their hearts gradually sank. They searched all over the place, but there was no trace of these two, and it made them despair. However, they did not give up. Everyone continued to search. They must find them even if they had to dig the ground. 5 years passed swiftly like flowing water. They had searched all over the palace for 5 years. They had been going back and forth, looking for 5 years, but they did not find any trace of Feng Ruqing and Nan Xian. It was as if they had disappeared into thin air and could not be found anymore. An old man in a red robe stood above the rubbles. His face was cold. He looked expressionlessly at the group of people who were searching again. Feng Lianqing stood next to the old man and sighed helplessly. Since the disappearance of Sister Ruqing, Grandfather has not left Spirit Beast Mountain. He has been waiting for her to come back. However, a long time has passed. Maybe Sister Ruqing does not even exist anymore. Master, me for extra chapters. Feng Lianqing walked up to the old man and smiled bitterly. Zhou Hui sent a letter saying that Xia Xia has grown up a lot. She has been asking why you and Sister Ruqing have not returned yet. Master, why don't we go back to see Xia Xia first? No. Tianya shook his head. I want to wait for Qing. I don't believe it. I clearly saw her in the palace. Why can't I find her? If she is still alive, we'll find her soon. But if she's dead, I want to see the dead body. Otherwise, I want leave. Feng Lianqing continued, but Xia Xia. Zhou Hui is taking care of her. She'll be fine. But Xia Xia is still in 9 Gate. I will settle the score with 9 Gate after I've found my granddaughter. They won't dare to touch Xia Xia now. I trust Zhou Hui. Tianya did not feel worried as he knew that Zhou Hui would take good care of Xia Xia. Now, he only wanted to find Feng Ruqing, even if he had to wait in this place forever. Tianya closed his eyes. His gaze was filled with pain. Qing, where are you? It's been 5 years. It's time to come back. Feng Lianqing smiled bitterly. He knew that he could not persuade Tianya, so he turned to Sui. Aunt Su, Nan Xian and Qing haven't come back. I'm not leaving either. Suyi's face remained expressionless. The white phoenix had always been by Suyi's side, never leaving her. He cleared his throat and looked at Feng Chun. Then you should go. After all, Xia Xia is not safe in 9 Gate, and 9 Gate will ignore me if I want to pick her up. Feng Chun lowered his gaze. He continued to move the rocks from the rubbles. Xiao Qing will come back. He paused. I hope the first person she sees when she comes back is me. All right. Feng Lianqing saw that Feng Chun could not be persuaded. and so he said no more. He could only follow them and continue to search. 9 Gate. A little girl sat next to the lake, resting her hand on her cheek, and her feet were swinging in the water. Her face was as fair as jade, and even at a young age, she was already beautiful. Nan Luo walked up behind the little girl. A cold light flashed in her eyes. She faked a smile as she headed towards Xia Xia. Xia Xia. Xia Xia turned and was greeted by a beautiful face. She hesitated for a moment, could not even remember who this person was. Since she came to 9 Gate, Qiu Hui was afraid that the others in 9 Gate would hurt her, so she protected her very well, never letting anyone touch her. The only ones who could approach her, besides the servants who took care of her, were Tang Yin, Xiaoya, and Nailan Jing. Who are you? Xia Xia frowned. She somehow felt that this woman was weird. She had an innate feeling that she did not like her. Huiyu, the daughter of Venerable Huiyin. Venerable Qiu Hui did not allow anyone to see you, so we have never met before. Now I finally understand why Maiden Xia Xia is chosen as the Holy Maiden of 9 Gate. I have admired you for a long time, so I came to meet you. Xia Xia's expression turned gloomy. I'm not the Holy Maiden of 9 Gate. I'm Mother's daughter. I want to go home, and when Mother and the others come back, they will come and pick me up. Nan Luo was a little surprised. She looked at Xia Xia's small face, looking as if she was about to say something, but she held it back. Do you have anything else? Don't come to me if there's nothing. I don't like strangers. Me for extra chapters. Xia Xia snorted. She felt that this woman looked strange, but her scent was somewhat familiar. It seemed like she had met her somewhere, but could not remember it. Nan Luo opened her mouth and looked at Xia Xia pitifully. She was silent for a moment before continuing. Maiden Xia Xia, 9 Gate is a nice place, and everyone in 9 Gate is very friendly. You better why? Xia Xia stood up. This little girl was only 9 years old, and there was still innocence in her ignorant gaze. Mother will come to take me home, right? Nan Luo looked at Xia Xia sympathetically. However, her gaze had made the little girl angry. Where's Mother? Where's my mother? Her mother said that she would come back soon. So even after following Qiu Hui to 9 Gate, she still kept waiting for her mother to come and take her home. Qiu Hui was good to her, but she was not her mother. She only wanted to return to her mother. Nan Luo took a few steps back. She bit her lip. I thought you knew that Maiden Feng and Master Nancian. They are dead. They are dead? These words were like a bolt of lightning from the sky, striking down, making Xia Xia's face freeze. 5 years. She had never given up, waiting for them. They had not come back for 5 years. There were times when she thought that even if her mother and the others were busy, they would still come back someone in these 5 years. Unless they had another child and did not want her anymore. However, every time she saw Qiu Hui receiving a letter from her grandfather, she would become sad because she clearly understood what it meant. Mother, father, something must have happened to them. That's why they didn't come back for such a long time. Nonsense. Xia Xia rushed toward Nan Luo fiercely, her face filled with rage. Mother and father will come back and bring me home, and sister Qing Han and brother Fu Chun. They will all come back. She looked so furious, and even though some things were already vaguely clear in her mind, she would never admit it. She believed that they would come back sooner or later. Nan Luo's gaze sank. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have told you this. 9 Gate doesn't allow anyone to talk about it, and that's why you're in the dark on this matter. I can't bear to let you keep waiting alone. That's why I told you the truth. The grief on her face was not fake. The thought of Nan Xian dying in Spirit Beast Mountain made her heart ached. She never thought that Nan Xian would really lose his life in Spirit Beast Mountain. If she had known, she would have advised him to leave when she was in Spirit Beast Mountain. Why did Feng Ruqing dig her grave and drag others along with her? If she wanted to die, she should have gone alone. Shut up. Xia Xia was furious and slapped Nan Luo fiercely. Her palm was small, but she was so strong that Nan Luo's face instantly turned red and swollen. Since coming to 9 Gate, she had never been treated like this. Anger surged to her heart, but thinking of Nine Gates' love for Xia Xia, she suppressed her anger again. "I'm sorry," she lowered her gaze and said in a small, apologetic voice. "Me for extra chapters." "Ah!" Xia Xia held her head, squatted down, and shouted. Her grief-stricken voice echoed in Nine Gate for a long time. Xiao Hui arrived just in time to see Xia Xia curled up and trembling. Her face was pale. It was so heartbreaking to see Xia Xia in such a state. Xiao Hui quickly reached Xia Xia, taking her into her arms. She hugged her tightly. "Xia Xia, what happened?" Xia Xia let go of her hand. Her body was so thin that it looked like a gust of wind could blow her away. Her face was covered in tears. She looked so pitiful. "Aunt Xiao, when will Mother come back?" Xiao Hu's heart ached and hugged Xia Xia tightly. "They will be back soon." "Really?" Xia Xia looked up with her big eyes. There was no longer any light in those eyes. 5 years. Mother and father have been gone for 5 years, but they haven't come back. Just now, this woman told me that mother and father died. They died in Spirit Beast Mountain. "Aunt Xiao, tell me, are mother and father already dead? Tell me now." Xia Xia's tears fell as she choked. "I'm still young, but you can't lie to me. Every time Aunt Xiao receives a letter, your face will turn gloomy. I noticed it, but I believe that as long as I do not think too much, as long as I keep thinking that mother and father will come back, they will certainly come back. But this woman told me that they have died. They have left me and will never come back." Xia Xia curled up, her head on her knees, and her voice was filled with despair. Xiao Hu's heart ached, and she felt her anger surging. She stood up from the ground and looked at Nan Luo angrily. Boom! She punched Nan Luo in the chest, sending her flying away. "Who asked you to come for Xia Xia?" she growled. She had promised Feng Ruqing that she would take care of Xia Xia. However, she was weak, and she had failed to protect Xia Xia. She could only take Xia Xia and hide in Nine Gate. Even though the Nan family had been defeated, and Nan Fong had died, she still did not take Xia Xia back. She was afraid that people outside would say something that might make Xia Xia sad. She thought that by placing her in Nine Gate, no one would say much in front of her. However, she was too negligent in letting someone sneak in to tell all these things to Xia Xia. Xia Xia was still young. How could she bear such grief? Nen Luo panicked and took a few steps back. She was now Hui Yan's daughter, so she did not think that Xiao Hui, who was also a member of Nine Gate, would even make a move against her. She bit her lip hard, wanting to explain to them. However, Xiao Hui did not give her a chance to explain. She rushed toward her and slapped her face viciously. Blood flowed from the corner of Nan Luo's mouth. She began to panic as she looked at the furious Xiao Hui. Bang! Xiao Hui kicked her hard, and she fell to the ground helplessly. Her hair became messy, and she looked so pitiful. "Stop! Me for extra chapters." Just as Xiao Hui was about to continue, an angry voice came from up ahead. Nan Luo was relieved after hearing this voice. She looked up joyfully, looking at the old man coming to her. "Father, save me. Venerable Xiao Hui wants to beat me to death." The old man was furious, and he looked at Xiao Hui fiercely while gritting his teeth. "What the hell are you trying to do? Why are you doing this to my daughter?" At this moment, the other venerable members also came in with a puzzled expression to see what had happened. However, when they saw Nan Luo, they were even more puzzled. "Venerable Hui Yan, why did your daughter come here? We've promised Xiao Hui that we would give her full authority to take care of Nan Shiyu. Except for some venerable members who came to visit Nan Shiyu, no one else was allowed to come here. Did you plan to snatch Nan Shiyu from Xiao Hui? But this little girl will not listen to you either. They wanted Nan Shiyu to become the holy maiden of Nine Gate. If they made this already bad-tempered little girl angry, they were afraid that Nine Gate would lose her again. That was why they had agreed to these requests from Xiao Hui. After all, Xiao Hui was familiar with Nan Shiyu, and she was the only one who could take care of her. Hui Yan looked somewhat embarrassed. "No, I didn't then. Why is she here?" They continued to ask. Why was his daughter here? Hui Yan himself could not answer, but when he saw the injuries on Nan Luo's body, The anger he had just suppressed surged again. I don't care why my daughter is here. Venerable Chiu Hui has hurt a weak little girl. Are you not afraid if others were to know about this? I must punish you today. Chiu Hui sneered as she faced Hui Yin. You want to punish me? Fine. But your daughter showed up here without permission and spewed nonsense to Xia Xia. She said that Maiden Feng and Master Nin Xian are already dead and put Xia Xia in such a state. Even if I killed her, she still deserves it. The crowd was shocked. Xia Xia had a special status in Nine Gate, and she was still the treasure of everyone's heart. The crowd did not expect Nin Luo to say such things, so they all looked at her in shock. Even Hui Yin was surprised, perhaps not expecting that his daughter would say such things to Nan Qiyu. And Nin Luo panicked and took a few steps back. She bit her lip. I was not saying nonsense. She asked me just now, and I accidentally told her the truth. I could not bear to lie to her. Her tears fell from the corners of her eyes, and it softened Hui Yan's heart. However, the more he thought about this matter, it was indeed Nin Luo's fault, and Chiu Hui was so fond of Xia Xia, so it was normal for her to be emotional. However, an elder in a gray robe said coldly, Hui Yin, is this how you teach your daughter? Who has allowed her to come here to spew nonsense? If something bad happens to Holy, to Nan Qiyu, can your daughter take responsibility for her action? Initially, the elder in a gray robe was trying to address her as Holy Maiden, but Xia Xia did not like the name. She would become angry every time someone called her that. In the end, no one in Nine Gate dared to address her that way. His head hurt when he thought about it. It was hard to win Xia Xia's heart, but Hui Yan's daughter had suddenly come and provoked her. Did she think it's easy to make Xia Xia like Nine Gate again? Hui Yan looked at Nan Luo and then turned to Chiu Hui. His eyes sunk. It's true that my daughter has done something wrong this time. I admit that, but Chiu Hui, you've punished her. Can we just forget it? Nan Luo looked at Hui Yin in surprise. Her father was very protective. He had never allowed anyone to bully her even a little bit. However, why was her father still planning to make peace with her after his daughter had been beaten up like this? Me for extra chapters. Nan Luo bit her lip. She was even more jealous of Feng Ruqing. Feng Ruqing was lucky to have a loving family and a great husband. Even her daughter received so much love from so many people. But Nan Luo, she was always the unlucky one. Perhaps it was with the thought that Feng Ruqing no longer existed. Nan Luo's mood was much better, and she no longer counted on Hui Yin to defend her this time. Forget it, Chiu Hui sneered. I agreed to bring Xia Xia to Nine Gates because you've promised me before that you wouldn't do anything to hurt her. I thought that the people in Nine Gate weren't the kind of people who would spew nonsense. If I had known it, I'd have taken her back to Tianya's manor. At least, Xia Xia would live a happier life there. But now, your daughter has purposely spewed nonsense and made Xia Xia so sad. How can we just forget it? Chiu Hui's eyes were filled with anger as she stared at Nan Luo fiercely. Her eyes were a little scary, causing Nan Luo to take a few steps back and hide behind Hui Yin. Hui Yan's heart softened. He then turned to Chiu Hui and asked, Then, what do you want? Apologize and expel her from Nine Gate. Chiu Hui raised her chin. She never believed that this woman was innocent. Therefore, there was no way she would let her stay in Nine Gate anymore. She might bring danger to Xia Xia. Nin Luo panicked. She had always thought that she had Hui Yin to back her up. She had never thought someone would dare to attack her. If she was expelled from Nine Gate, how was she going to survive out there? Father. Nan Luo bit her lip, tears flowing down uncontrollably in despair. I really didn't mean it. I'm also a member of Nine Gate. How could I intentionally say such things? Father, I don't want to leave Nine Gate, nor do I want to leave you. Chiu Hui. Hui Yin burst out in anger. Don't go too far. I can make you to apologize, but to expel her from Nine Gate? No way. He had tolerated them, but these people were getting braver. Yuer was at fault in this matter, but she did not mean it, and now that she had learned from her mistake, an apology was already enough. Was it necessary to expel her? Xiao Hui sneered. If we don't expel her from Nine Gate, she will come and bring trouble to Xia Xia again. Hui Yin clenched his fists tightly, but he held his anger as he saw the others were looking at him. I believe you did not mean it. If you're not at ease, I can lock her up in the backyard and forbid her to go out. Are you satisfied now? Satisfied? I can't ever be satisfied. Xiao Hui looked at Hui Yin and others. Even if Xia Xia does not want to be Holy Maiden, Nine Gate has long treated her as Holy Maiden. Hui Yu has offended Xia Xia. If you don't want to expel her from Nine Gate, you have to punish her according to our rules. Lock her in Hall of Punishment. The crowd silently sighed in relief. Hui Yin and Xiao Hui were both important in Nine Gate, and they did not want any conflict to arise between them. Furthermore, they were both biased towards Xia Xia. Therefore, they feel that Xiao Hui's request was reasonable. Hui Yin, you decide for yourself. Punish her according to the rules, or expel her from Nine Gate. Hui Yin froze. He closed his eyes in sorrow. Does it have to be like this? The Hall of Punishment. How can you, a gentle girl, suffer this kind of torture? And how can I bear to let her suffer? Father, Nin Luo gritted her teeth. I am willing to go to Hall of Punishment, me for extra chapters. She did not want to leave Nine Gate. She would be doomed if she left this place. She was already used to this luxurious life. How could she want to leave such a good place? It was just that she had made a little mistake this time. Initially, she wanted to provoke this little girl, but she did not expect that Hui Yin could not overpower them. Obviously, she was the one who had been beaten up, yet in the end, it was her who was punished. Hui Yin's heart ached as he held Hui Yu's hand. Hui Yu smiled bitterly. Nine Gate is my home. My father is here, so I can't leave, and I won't leave Nine Gate, even if I have to be punished severely. Hui Yin was heartbroken beyond words, and he was still angry. I will remember this day, forever. Xiao Hui, once I've got the chance, I will make you pay. Hui Yin took a deep breath. He looked at Hui Yu, and his face was much calmer. I will prepare a spirit herb for you to heal your wounds. I'm sorry. Nin Luo shook her head and smiled faintly. This time, it was my mistake. I'm just not used to lying. That's why I have told Xia Xia that. I won't repeat this mistake. After she said that, the people from Hall of Punishment came and dragged her away. When she was in Nan Manor, she had also been locked in Hall of Punishment. Even if she had to experience it again, she was still terrified of that place. However, Nin Luo understood that she had no way out at this moment but to go there. Hui Yin flung his lapel and looked at Xiao Hui coldly. I won't ever forget what you've done today. He walked away after saying that, disappearing without looking back. The elder looked coldly in the direction he left and frowned. Hui Yu seemed to have changed a bit from before. He did not have much impression of Hui Yu. He only knew that she was timid but kind and understanding. Why has she turned into such a girl now? Moreover, if she did not mean it, why did she have to sneak into this place? It's really hard to convince others that she's innocent. Perhaps only Hui Yin would believe in her because she was his daughter. However, the bystanders could feel that something was wrong with Hui Yu. Forget it. Hui Yu has nothing to do with us, and Hui Yin won't listen to our advice. The elder smiled helplessly. He looked down at Xia Xia, who was squatting on the ground, and pondered for a second. Xiao Hui, there are some things you should tell her so that she won't be sad for a long time. Xiao Hui naturally understood what the elder was trying to say. She lowered her head, and her gaze fell upon Xia Xia. Xia Xia, there are many things I didn't tell you because we don't have an answer either. Xia Xia finally lifted her head, her face covered in tears. What answer? Xiao Hui smiled bitterly. Your parents have not died. They have just disappeared, and your grandfather is still out looking for them. If they had died, Tinyao would not be staying out there, waiting for them. As long as he is still out there, it proves that your parents are still alive. She paused and continued. We don't know the whereabouts of your parents, and I'm afraid that you might be sad and upset. That's why I didn't tell you. Really? Xia Xia's eyes finally lit up. After all, being still missing was considered good news compared to death. It proved that they might still be alive. But if they had died, they would never come back again. Xiao Hui lowered her head and touched Xia Xia's head gently. Yes, I will not lie to you. I believe in Aunt Xiao. Me for extra chapters. Xia Xia smiled brightly, sweeping away the gloom of a moment ago. Mother and father have just disappeared. It's good that they're only missing. It means that I can get them back. I will not listen to the others. That woman said that father and mother are dead. I did not want to leave father and mother. We felt a little guilty. Sorry, I was negligent in letting someone sneak in. I thought that after giving the order, no one would disturb you, but I didn't expect that someone would still be bold enough just because her father has a high status in Nine Gate. All the members of Nine Gate lived on separate mountains. They did not wander around during the week. Furthermore, Nine Gate's disciples all obeyed the orders and would not come here to disturb Xia Xia. However, they had never expected that Huiyu would be so bold to break the orders. Is her name Huiyu? That old man's daughter? Xia Xia bit her finger. But I think I've met her before. A few years ago. Before Xia Xia came to Nine Gate, the crowd looked at each other, puzzled. It should be before Mother fell into a coma back then. I think it should have been 7 years ago. Back then, she was only 2 years old. One should not underestimate the 2-year-old Xia Xia, because she could remember everything clearly even up until this day. Her brain was like a diary. She never forgot anything she had experienced before, especially the people she had met. Xiao Hui was startled after hearing Xia Xia's words. She was silent for a moment. I remember Huiyu never left Nine Gate. The only time was when the Nan family kidnapped her, but that was 5 years ago. So why is Xia Xia claiming this? I don't recognize her face. Xia Xia shook her head. Her scent is familiar, but her face is unfamiliar. The scent is familiar, but the face is unfamiliar. The crowd was confused, not understanding what Xia Xia meant by this. Xia Xia stood up from the ground. Really? I'm not lying. I have some impression that she resembles someone. Who? Xiao Hui asked as she frowned. I heard my grandmother call her Nan Luo. Yes, she's called Nan Luo. Xia Xia finally remembered from whom she had sensed that breath before. She bit her lip and said, Grandmother doesn't like her. Father and mother also hate her, but she seems to like father a lot. Then she disappeared and did not come back. Xiao Hu's face instantly sank, and she fell into deep thought. Xia Xia will not lie. I trust her. Why would Xia Xia say Huiyu is Nan Luo? Isn't Nan Luo of the Nan family already dead? The elder in a gray robe pondered for a while and said, I remember Hui Yin said to me before that when Huiyu was able to escape, Nan Luo had helped her, and the Nan family wanted to use Huiyu to deal with Nine Gate. Huiyu is Nan Luo? If she's really Nan Luo, then the real Huiyu must have died. Another elder suddenly said, You guys didn't know Huiyu. I once took care of her for a while when she was sick. Huiyin went out for a mission and gave Huiyu to me. That girl was well-behaved and understanding. She would never offend anyone. If you gave orders, she would not go against you. But now, you've ordered that no one is allowed to disturb Xia Xia. But that girl still snuck into this place. The old Huiyu would never do this kind of thing. Moreover, Huiyu is so understanding. She would not have told Xia Xia that her mother and father are missing or dead, even if they are really in trouble. Huiyu knows that Xia Xia will be sad. Huiyu was a kind girl back then. She would not do anything that could make others annoyed with her. These 5 years, Huiyu did not go out much, and they rarely met her. No one expected that she would do such things. She was full of lies, yet she claimed that she did not mean it? Who else would believe it except for that foolish Huiyin? Me for extra chapters. If Huiyu is really Nan Luo, Xiao Hui sneered. I will make her life worse than death. Xia Xia cocked her head and blinked. I don't like her, Aunt Xiao. I don't want to see her again. She's not a good person. Xiao Hui lowered her head and stroked Xia Xia's small head gently. All right, she won't have the chance to come back in the future. Xia Xia nodded, showing her cute teeth. She smiled brightly, innocently. Aunt Xiao, when will grandmother and great-grandfather find my parents? I miss them so much. Xia Xia sighed. Xiao Hu's heart sank slightly. Maiden Feng is missing, but no one knows whether she's alive or dead. Tinya has been looking for her for 5 years, and those rubbles have been moved back and forth countless times. But they found nothing, She couldn't tell Xia Xia she did not want this little girl to worry. He will find them soon. Once Tianya has found them, he will tell me first, and I will take you to see them. The crowd was shocked. They did not want Xia Xia to leave Nine Gate. But Xia Xia had grown up and was hard to control. They could do nothing if she wanted to leave Nine Gate. You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.